Good evening. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Kettering City Council. Today's date is August 26, 2025. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please bow your heads for a short invocation. As we gather tonight, we are grateful for the opportunity to serve our community. May wisdom guide our decisions, fairness shape our discussions, and compassion lead our actions. Grant us the courage to face challenges, the patience to seek solutions, and the vision to build a brighter future. May this meeting reflect our commitment to collaboration, respect, and service. Thank you. I would like to call on Mrs. Fisher right now for approval of the minutes for the August 12th meeting.
Your Honor, I have reviewed both the council meeting and the workshop minutes, and I do find them in order, and I move for approval.
Second.
Anybody have any additions, corrections? Okay, hearing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton?
Yes.
Mayor Lehner?
Yes. Okay. We do have a proclamation this evening. We also have a special presentation. This will be by the Montgomery County Recorder's Office, and Kate Baker will be, as the recorder, will be making the presentation. Come on forward, Kate, to the podium there.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having me. My name is Kate Baker. I'm from the Montgomery County Recorder's Office, and I wanted to talk to you about our programs that we have available for you and your residents. Recorder Lori Kennedy sends her regrets. She could not make this meeting. She had a prior commitment. So she's a proud Fairmont grad, so she wanted me to pass that along to you guys. So we'll be at Alterfest this weekend, so if you see us out, please stop us and say hi. So the program I wanted to bring to council tonight was a fraud alert notification system. It's in your packets. It's the carbon form that we have available. People still like to do paper. If you fill it out, make sure the password's 5 digits. You keep the white paper. I'm sorry, my apologies. Send the white paper into the bottom of the address, and please keep the yellow one because it has your password on it. The brochure inside, we have a deed fraud problem in the county, and how we're going to address it is everyone, please share this with your families, your friends, your neighbors, your social media contact platforms. And if you'd put it on your city website and pass it out in your next city newsletter, by signing up, more people getting involved in the program, and if somebody comes down and tries to transact on your property, you'd be notified. You can sign up by mail, email, or texting will be coming online later this year. So why does this matter? It would help prevent the deed fraud by more people signing up. So if someone comes to try to transact on your property, you'd be notified. And you'd call our office and say, oh, you have a conversation with us. So maybe you have a mechanics lien that you forgot because the roof got put on, or you took out a home equity line you forgot. So you'd be notified. So not all notifications are bad or fraudulent. Sometimes you just forget that there may be something out there. And so, but if you did not do those things, we can work with you. You'd come in and fill out an affidavit, and we'd turn it over to the prosecutor's office for prosecution, because our prosecutor, Matt Heck, has done a great job of prosecuting deed fraud in the county. And he's working with Recorder Kennedy, and we'd like to have this done. So again, Recorder Kennedy would like you to please sign up. This is available in all 88 counties. So if you're in a different county, please contact your recorder. It just may be under a different name. And if you wanted to opt out, you could opt out of the program, and you can contact our office, and you have your password, and you'll be able to opt out. So you sell your house, you no longer want to receive those notifications. You go to a new house, hopefully you'd enroll in Montgomery County again. So our other program that we have is Transfer on Death, TODs. So Donald Duck has a property, and he wants to give it to his 3 favorite nephews. He comes into our office. We cannot legally give advice, but the forms are available online and in our office. You come in, you fill them out, and we notary for free, and it's a recording fee of less than $50. And upon Donald's passing, the 3 nephews come in, fill out an affidavit saying, yes, Donald passed, and a copy of his death certificate, and another recording fee. The property would be theirs. And so that helps with, not everybody can afford a partnership or trust. So this is a cost-effective way to stay out of probate court and avoid paying a $3,000 retainer or $700 to $900 an hour for about 2 years for probate to manage your case. So this is a cost-saving measure that the Recorder's Office does. Our other thing, somebody may know about a Veterans Commission in Montgomery County, but we do veterans IDs, and even in death, the veteran has benefits. So a lot of times you come in with your honorable discharge on your DD 214, and on there it'd be recorded, and you'd be a instrument number, and on that ID would be the instrument number. So even in death, the veteran has benefits. Do you want a free headstone? Do you want to be buried at the VA? Sometimes there's a death benefit to the family. So in time of planning their funeral, they need to have that information. It can't be in the attic in a trunk looking for this. It needs to be timely. In your packet is also a brochure of all the discounts offered in the community. So this is very cost-effective day to day. We can also be reached at our website of Montgomery County Recorder, mcrecorder.org. You can reach us there. You can come down to our office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and get a veteran's ID made, or do their TODs in our office. We also have done some outreaches in the county for veterans events. We're looking to schedule 2026, so if you know a place, please let us know. Again, thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing me to speak to you. Recorder Kennedy would also like everyone to enroll in the program. And the personal properties, we're asking for the City of Kettering to please enroll their properties and to share this on your social media platforms. Thank you so much for your time. Do you guys have any questions?
Do we have any questions?
Does the audience have any questions?
Okay.
I don't want to leave them out because there are some people.
No, we don't go there.
Okay, sorry. But again,
Not a
thank you
good
for this opportunity, and we look forward to working with you from the Recorder's Office. Thank you guys and have a great night.
Okay, thank you very much, Kate. Give our best to Lori. We have a public hearing this evening regarding PC-25-008. This is a zoning code text amendment, and Ryan Holmesy with the city will give the presentation.
Make sure this is working. Perfect. Is everything good?
Everything's
We're all
good?
good.
Just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. This is a public hearing for an item that we've been working on for quite a while that involves modifications to virtually every chapter of the Planning and Zoning Code. I'm not going to go through every single proposed change, but I'll go through a couple of the proposed changes in quick detail this evening. If there's any questions, feel free to ask me. But just to give a quick overview, this amendment is based upon a couple additional years of reviewing different projects around town, both residential and non-residential. And the main objectives are to broaden options for code compliance with various code sections, remove some of our arbitrary requirements, and then also we want to lay the groundwork for the future rezoning of some of our economic development overlays. But based on the reviews of the projects that we've been conducting, as I go through the presentation, you'll notice a lot of the overarching thought behind a lot of these amendments is we should be able to approve this proposal, but it does not meet today's standards. So, Chapter 1133, the only change to this chapter, this is where we establish our zoning districts. We're proposing to create the neighborhood business district that we had talked about before. It's essentially an office zoning district plus non-auto-oriented retail and restaurant uses. Going along with that, Chapter 135 or 1135 mainly includes our table of permitted uses around town. We'll have to add the neighborhood business district. We had a couple work sessions talking about short-term rentals and the proposed regulations for those. That is included in this ordinance. And on top of that, we're proposing to add a couple of additional light industrial uses as permitted uses to the business zoning district. Right now in that district, wholesale uses and warehousing and distribution are permitted, but we feel that some light industrial product assembly uses would be appropriate in some of our bigger retail spaces that are now vacant. Going along with that, Chapter 1137 is the chapter that lists all of the standards for specific uses. We're proposing to enact those standards for short-term rentals. At the last work session that we had about short-term rentals, one of the hanging chads, so to speak, that we wanted to do more research on was how we wanted to propose to deal with short-term rentals in multi-tenant buildings. And this proposal essentially caps short-term rentals in those buildings at no more than 25% of the living units in those buildings. We also are proposing to modify some of our requirements for daycare centers. One of the next slides will go into more detail on that. This chapter also has a requirement for several uses. A lot of our industrial uses and some of our more intense commercial uses like gas stations and drive-through restaurants are required to have a masonry wall installed along the property line where those uses adjoin residential properties. We're basically proposing to remove that use from this chapter and move it to the actual buffer yard section of the code. I'll talk about that more a little bit later. One of our more arbitrary standards that we have is a 10-acre minimum lot size requirement for hospital uses, and we're proposing to remove that entirely. I'll have a little more detail on that in an upcoming slide. Going back to the proposed changes to our daycare standards, this is one example of today's requirement for access to those sites. Reads that all daycare centers shall adjoin and have ingress and egress from only a collector thoroughfare or arterial street. One example of a daycare in town, this is the KinderCare at the northwest corner of Benfield and East Stroop. Does not have access to a thoroughfare. It has access to Benfield. If this were to be built today, our code would tell them to take access off East Stroop, which goes against good engineering practice and zoning practice. We're proposing to modify that. We still want it to adjoin those streets, but they can take access from a non-major street, as is common throughout town. The proposed change to the, or removal of the minimum lot size area for hospitals, in a jurisdiction that I worked in before, we had a project not long before I left. This is an aerial image. On the left side there is the Kettering Health campus in Miamisburg. At the time, they had a partnership with Post-Acute Medical, or PAM, where they operated a 40-bed facility in the main campus. And PAM approached us wanting to build a larger facility off the site across the street on a 5.1 acre property that wouldn't be permitted in Kettering today. Now, it was permitted in Miamisburg. They had to do a rezoning, but the facility got built, and as far as I know, it's operating just fine. We want to change that standard to allow these sort of projects to move forward if they come up. Chapter 1139 are our accessory structure and use standards. There's a few changes proposed to this chapter, one of which is to allow, today our zoning code has two main detached storage building categories. One is a shed, which they're not subject to very strict standards except where they're located and how tall they are. Those can't be any bigger than 100 square feet. Once you go over 100 square feet, they're subject to much stricter architectural requirements. We want to increase slightly that square footage before the stricter architectural requirements come into play, from 100 square feet up to 144 square feet. And also, we're proposing to permit what we're calling uncovered front porches. The next slide will explain that a little bit more. Right now, if you want to put what we call a patio, which is in that picture on the left, it's essentially just an outdoor seating area in front of your house. It can't be any higher above grade than 6 inches, and it's not covered. And then, of course, a front porch can be higher above grade than 6 inches, but it needs a roof over it to meet that designation. We don't allow something that's in between those two items right now. So we're proposing to basically add a category for what we're calling uncovered front porches, where you can essentially build a porch without a roof on it in front of your house. If you don't have the money to put a roof over it, or you don't want to, or unlike the house on the left, on the picture on the left there, if you have a higher step out of your house, our zoning code prevents you from doing something that we think makes sense. So we want to change that. A couple minor changes to Chapter 1141. These are our development pattern districts. We're proposing to reduce the minimum front yard setback requirement in our suburban business pattern district from 35 feet down to 25 feet. That's a really minor amendment. The reason we're proposing that is before we adopted the new zoning code in 2015 and created pattern districts, we just had an industrial pattern district, an industrial zoning district, and in that industrial district, the minimum front yard setback was 25 feet. Suburban business is mostly occupied by industrial uses, so we just want to make it consistent with what the old code said when it comes to front yard setbacks. Another minor change, one of the last amendments that council approved was a change to the suburban pattern district that would allow existing, do you have, sorry. Okay, sorry. that would allow existing side and rear yard setbacks that might not meet the standard we have today to consider those conforming. And we're proposing to make the same change to the suburban center pattern district. Site and environmental standards, Chapter 1143. These are a little bit harder to explain, but I'll go through a couple of the proposed changes really quick. Throughout the zoning code, there's several sections where there's some flexibility granted to the zoning administrator to approve modifications to certain standards, particularly if a property is already developed. And we have that same modification section in our access management section of the code, but the way it's written is very difficult to work with, and the next slide will explain that a little bit more. This chapter also includes our lighting requirements, which work just fine, but especially when you're developing a new property that's vacant. But we've run into some issues where people are proposing projects on existing sites that are already developed, and the project triggers full compliance with our lighting requirements, which is usually fine when it comes to the light trespass, fixture type, and maximum lighting level standards, but it becomes very tricky when it comes to light pole height requirements that it might be non-conforming, and our uniformity standards. We want to adjust what standards you have to come into compliance with if you have an existing site and you do a project that triggers full compliance. Going back to the access management modification section of the code, this is a graphic from the zoning code today. The main access management section in the zoning code deals with minimum separations between driveways and access points and nearby intersections. This standard works perfectly fine on local and residential streets. It becomes a little bit trickier when you're dealing with a more major thoroughfare because the separation requirement is somewhat arbitrary. It's not based on the infrastructure in the street. It's not based on what could be good engineering practice. So this is one example right here, the northwest corner of East Stroop and Woodman. The zoning code requires if that property on the corner, which is zoned office, were to redevelop, they would have to be, the access point had to be 115 feet from the intersection, which doesn't really take the infrastructure in the street into account. And through talking with our assistant city engineer and some other members of our engineering department, we determined that it'd be better to have this section, basically the planning development department and engineering department work together to look at what makes the most sense and approve it, especially on major streets, based on what makes good engineering sense rather than an arbitrary separation requirement. Parking and loading, there's a couple minor changes proposed to this chapter, minor for us, major for some of our residents. We have, I'll go to the next slide. As an example, how our zoning code is written, that house, a driveway, per the zoning code, is supposed to connect to a legal parking space. You can park in your driveway, but it's not technically considered where the parking area is of your house. In the case of this property, in most residential areas of the city, you're technically not allowed to have a parking space in the front yard. It's supposed to be in the side or the rear yard. In the case of this property, the parking space is the garage, which is in the side yard, and the driveway connects to it. So the tricky part that comes into play is if you want to build a little addition to your driveway. Next to the driveway, our code requires you to not just build that red area, but also build a parking pad next to your house in the side yard so the driveway addition doesn't dead end into grass in your side yard. Some people, so it went to the next slide. Could you go back? Sorry. So some people either A, don't have room to build that parking pad, or B, they don't want to, and we're sometimes forcing people to put more paved areas on their property than they really want to. We're not proposing to make the driveway standards to allow a bigger driveway. We're just proposing to allow you to widen your driveway a little bit more without having to add the pad next to your house. Going along with that, we have a lot of these 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom houses throughout the city, and it's not uncommon for people to want to convert the existing attached garage into a living space, usually a master bedroom and a master bath. These projects sometimes run into the same issue because once you convert it and get rid of the garage, you now have a driveway that dead ends into your front yard. So technically, the way the code is written today, if you do that, you're supposed to move your driveway and dead end it into the side yard of the house. A lot of properties don't have room to do this, and it becomes kind of tricky. So we want to allow people to convert their garage without having to move their driveway. That's included in this amendment. Chapter 1147, landscaping and buffer yards. That masonry wall requirement I mentioned before, we want to take that, since it's really a buffering requirement, and move it into this chapter, so it's organized a little bit better. We also have a standard in our code where non-residential properties are required to screen their parking lots from adjoining properties, not just residential. But we want to create an exemption where if you have 2 industrial uses next to each other, they don't have to screen their parking lot from one another. We also want to permit chain link fences in the side yard areas of industrial uses. Right now, they're only permitted in the rear yards, and it's pretty common to have a chain link fence in the side yard of an industrial property. We also want to add another option for how to meet the dumpster enclosure requirement for multifamily and non-residential uses. I have a little more detail in the next couple of slides. So right now, this is just one quote from the code that we have today. I believe this is for gas stations next to residential uses. The code reads, finished masonry wall that is 6 feet in height shall be provided along any property line of such an establishment adjoining a residential use property, excluding multi-unit dwellings located in the town center and neighborhood center pattern districts. We want to keep the code, so you can do that if you'd like to, but we want to add another option. This has been in the code for a long, long time. I don't know for sure when it was added, but we want to add another option where you can meet that same standard with a privacy fence that meets these requirements, which is it has a sound transmission class of 26 or higher, and it's either an earth tone color or the color of the principal structure. And I don't know if anyone goes to Valley Thrift, and they did that redevelopment project out back. That is a fence, it's not a masonry wall, that meets those requirements. The brand is called Simtech, but we want to make it so if you want to do that instead of a masonry wall, you can. And I mentioned the exemption from the parking lot screening requirement between 2 adjoining industrial uses. There's just one example on Gateway. Hypothetically, if the person who owns this property wants to build an addition and it triggers full compliance, they're required to put in a 4-foot fence or hedge or berm along the northeast and south sides of the property. The east side adjoins residential properties. That makes perfect sense. The north and south adjoin other industrial uses, so we'd like to create an exemption where that would only be required on the east side where you adjoin residential, and not if you're next to 2 industrial properties right next to each other. And the dumpster enclosure, much like the masonry wall standard I just mentioned, our code today requires the dumpster enclosures to be 6 foot tall, finished masonry walls similar in style and finish to that of the principal structure. It's perfectly fine standard. We just want to add another option where basically that same style that I showed before, you can do, if you want to build your dumpster enclosure out of that, that would be acceptable based on the way that this amendment is drafted. And the reason for that, the intent behind that masonry wall requirement was that the wooden enclosures, they get hit, they fall apart, they get removed, they're only up for a couple of years and then they're falling apart. So masonry enclosure is much more durable, but these other fences provide a more affordable option that's also easier to maintain in the long run if they get hit unintentionally. Chapter 1149 is our architectural chapter. I have a couple changes proposed to this chapter, mostly dealing with industrial uses. One of them, and there's just one example, we have a requirement that if you're building a structure on basically the sides that face the street, you're supposed to install a cap and a base to add character to the building. Those caps and bases are required to project from the facade by at least an inch, which works fine, but we wanted to add a little more flexibility for industrial uses. And this is a building that's not in the city of Kettering, but it shows this is a common type of construction for industrial buildings, is tilt-up concrete. In this case, this building would meet the proposed requirement with just a color change between the cap and the base, as opposed to projecting out by an inch for industrial uses. And then the other proposed change is we want to create an exemption that would permit metal building additions to be built onto existing metal buildings, provided that certain criteria are met. When we drafted this amendment, we actually went through all of our industrial parks around town. We don't have a lot of metal buildings, but where we have them, it could be understandable that someone would want to build an addition that matches the metal that's already there. So this amendment would allow them to do that and get an exemption from the finished material requirement. They would still be subject to all of our other standards when it comes to architecture, provided the following requirements are met: that the structure was built legally, the use is conforming, the use is industrial. With the exception of the finished materials, the addition meets the applicable architectural requirements. And if the structure containing the non-conforming finished material includes a design feature like a brick base, that design feature extends across the entirety of the addition. And again, we don't have a lot of metal buildings in the city. These are a couple examples that are partially metal. We want them to be able to add on and kind of match what they have material-wise, provided that they meet all of our other requirements. A couple changes in Chapter 1151, which deals with signs. The way our code is written today and how it has been written for a number of years, if you're in a multi-tenant building in the business or the business park zoning district, you're permitted to have 1 square foot of building sign area for every 1 foot of frontage that tenant space has. If you're a single tenant building, you get 1/2 a square foot of building sign area for every 1 foot of building frontage. We just want to make them the same to be more consistent. Another item we want to change, we haven't really been having an issue with temporary signs lately. I think that the internet age has kind of made them obsolete for a lot of people, but the way our code's written today, you technically need to get a separate permit for every 30-day period that you want to put a temporary sign out. And we want to change that, where you still need a permit, but it's valid for the whole year. You can put it out 4 times for 30 consecutive days with just 1 permit. And then another item is, if you have a non-conforming sign and you demolish the principal structure of the site to redevelop it, we want you to remove that old non-conforming sign as a part of that demolition. Almost done. I actually am. Chapter 1153 deals with procedures and enforcement. These are really minor changes, but it's not uncommon for people to apply for permits. We review it. It doesn't meet the requirements. We give them a list of items they need to bring in to fix, and then they need to reapply. A lot of the time they don't reapply. It just kind of sits in permit application purgatory. And we just want to add a code section that makes it clear after 180 days, we void the permit and they have to reapply if they move forward, if they want to move forward with the project. Another item deals with our notification and service requirements for notices of violation. Our property maintenance inspectors help considerably with the enforcement of both the property maintenance code and the zoning code, but the notification requirements they're similar, but they're slightly different. And since we just want to make them the same so that we're consistent about following our code requirements when it comes to notifications for notices of violation. Nonconformities, one of the last major amendments that we did, the council approved a couple of years ago, we added this section to the Chapter 1155, and we called it Modification of Standards for Nonconforming Sites. At the time, this section really only dealt with landscaping and screening standards and parking space and drive aisle size requirements, so that we weren't requiring people to go in and restripe their entire parking lot or cut up their parking lot if it had been functioning for decades and they wanted to do a redevelopment. We want to add a couple other codes provisions to that section. One of them is light pole heights. to allow the zoning administrator to approve taller light poles in the case of redevelopments. One example, this is at the 500 building next to the government center. The light poles are about 28 feet tall, and the maximum allowable height is 20 feet. So we want to avoid a situation where they're doing a redevelopment project and it triggers full compliance, where we can let them keep the light poles that they have. Another item is dumpster enclosure locations. We only have a few properties around town that don't have room for, you're required to have your dumpster enclosure in the side or the rear yard. Well, we have a few properties around town, there's literally no room to put a dumpster enclosure in the side or the rear yard. This is one example at the corner of Andrew and Bigger. We want to be able to allow them to keep the enclosure in the front yard on Andrew where they have it today if this property were to redevelop in the future. And there's some, I'm not going to go into detail on the proposed changes to the definition chapter, but there's several proposed new definitions that we want to add dealing with automobile washing areas, small box discount stores, and short-term rentals. And that's actually it. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on this item at their July 21st and August 4th meetings, and at that meeting they recommended approval. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Olson. In case anyone is sitting there thinking there's an awful lot of things that you can work really quickly, that you pointed out, you already have this with planning commission, and there will be 2 additional readings. Very interesting. That's appreciate your presentation tonight.
Thank you.
Yep, catch you on. That will conclude the public hearing. At this point, anyone wishing to speak before council with comments or new information about the legislation on tonight's agenda may do so at this time. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Speakers must state their name and address, and comments should be addressed to council. If you have comments that are not about the legislation on tonight's agenda, there will be an opportunity for those to be heard later in the meeting. Is there anyone who wishes to address council at this point? Okay. Seeing none, we will then move to ordinances and second reading. I'll call on Mrs. Fisher.
Your Honor, I do have an ordinance, amending ordinance number 4254-15 to extend the period during which previously identified improvements to certain parcels of real property will be a public purpose and exempt from real property taxation. The owners, therefore, will be required to make service payments in lieu of taxes, expanding the list of public infrastructure improvements to be paid for with such service payments, and providing for the payment of the portion of those service payments received to the City of Kettering School District. It is requested by the City Manager's Office, and I do move for approval.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Gant, would you like to add to that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Vice Mayor. So on June 23rd, 2015, the city passed ordinance 4254-15, thereby creating a residential tax increment financing incentive district for the Prewwood subdivision. This amendment extends the term of the current TIF and to the full eligible 30 years, as well as qualifying public infrastructure improvements. Payments in lieu of taxes collected from the proposed incentive district will fund public infrastructure improvements necessary to support residential development.
Okay. Anyone have any questions about that? Okay. Seeing none, call the roll.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Sudduth?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution to accept the resignation of at-large Councilmember Jill Hall and to declare her council seat vacant. This is requested by the council office, and I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Greason, do you have any
Yes,
additional
Your
comments?
Yes, Your Honor. As you know, the council regretfully accepted the resignation of Jill Hall as an at-large council member at its last meeting. This actually formally does that. You'll accept the resignation and declare the council seat vacant. Ms. Hall's term ends December 31st, 2025. It'll be vacant as of August 14th, 2025, and in compliance with the city charter section 3-4, that seat will remain vacant through the end of the term.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions? Okay, call the roll.
Mr. Sullivan,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Duval,
Yes.
Mr. Sudduth,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Mayor Lehner.
Yes.
Okay, bear with me. Yeah. Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a cost participation agreement with the Board of Commissioners of Montgomery County, Ohio, for the roadway resurfacing in association with the Muriel, Hobart, and Beaverton water main replacement project.
You have to.
Scroll me up.
It's the engineering.
And this is requested by the engineering department. I do move for approval, and I apologize for the technical difficulties.
Second. Quite all right. Anyone have any questions?
It's a habit.
Mr. Bergstrom.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Mr. Bergstresser.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a project that Montgomery County is planning to submit for Ohio Public Works Commission funds next month. It would replace water mains on Muriel, Hobart, and Beaverton in the city of Kettering. We would like to participate in those projects with roadway resurfacing once the water main work is complete. So this resolution will allow the city to enter into an agreement that we will submit with the project application for funding. If funding is awarded, the earliest the project could begin is July 1st of next year. Be happy to answer any questions.
Now, does anyone have any questions? Hearing none, call the roll.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Duval,
Yes.
Mr. Sudduth,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan,
Yes.
Mayor Lehner.
Yes.
I have a resolution declaring the necessity of repairing sidewalks, curbs, and drive approaches as part of the East Whip Road Improvement 2026 project number 02-128G. This is requested by the engineering department, and I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Bergstresser.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is the first in a series of resolutions that you'll be seeing over your next several meetings as we're already starting to gear up for 2026 capital improvement program projects. This one is on East Whip Road from Bigger to the eastern corporation boundary with the city of Centerville. It will be an assessment project that will include concrete repair of deteriorating curbs, sidewalk, and drive approaches. So this resolution is the first step in that assessment process. Upon approval of this resolution, we will notify residents here in the coming weeks of their initial estimated costs, but construction won't happen until sometime next summer. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, call the roll.
Ms. Duval,
Yes.
Mr. Sudduth,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mayor Lehner.
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for a litter prevention grant from Montgomery County Solid Waste Management District. This is requested by the Sustainability Office, and I move for its approval.
Second.
Mr. Bergstresser.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an annual program the Montgomery County Solid Waste Management District runs. It's a litter prevention grant. So this year we are submitting a grant application to purchase enhanced, higher quality, year-round dual trash and recycling containers to be put in the grounds around Civic Commons and the Fraze Pavilion. Currently, we use just trash receptacles in that area. We would like to enhance year-round recycling, not just at Fraze events. So we're applying for these funds in the hopes that the county will agree with us that this is a great project. Be happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
This is just a great program. I know, speaking to Carrie Miles about some of this stuff I already done the phrase, whenever there's two receptacles and a sign that says recycling, we see the amount of recycling go up pretty significant at every event. So having permanent infrastructure to support this will really change the amount of trash that we send out of that facility. So this is very great.
Thank you, Mr. Sutter. Any other questions, comments? Okay, call the roll.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for a district incentive grant from Montgomery County Solid Waste Management District. It is requested by the Sustainability Office, and I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Bergstresser.
Thank you, Your Honor. Similar to the previous resolution, this is to apply for a grant from Montgomery County. This one would construct a screening barrier, I guess, aesthetic barrier around food composting bins that we are planning to install here in the coming months at Indian Riffle Park near the mulch and compost pickup that is a product of our leaf operations. Currently, as it stands right now, the recycling or the composting bins would be set out for public use, but we would like to construct an aesthetic barrier to make them a little more pleasing, keep them in one spot, things like that. So there is a cost to do that, and we would like to apply for a grant from Montgomery County to offset that cost. Happy to answer questions.
Okay, does anyone have any questions?
Sustainability Office is off to a quick start this year.
Yes, they are.
Okay, call the roll.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use competitive bargaining and negotiated quotes to contract for purchase of equipment used to maintain the Beavertown Cemetery. The estimated cost is $26,000, and the amount budget is $0. This is requested by the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts Department. I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Bergstresser.
Thank you, Your Honor. Some residents may know, some may not know that we do maintain a cemetery, the Beavertown Cemetery, which is off Valleywood Drive, just a little bit south of Dorothy Lane, kind of near Delco Park. The equipment that we use to maintain the cemetery is some of the oldest in our inventory. We do have a cemetery fund that is dedicated just towards maintaining the cemetery. So we would like to draw down some of those funds in that fund balance to purchase and replace some of the equipment that we use to maintain the cemetery. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? I do have one. Is the cemetery currently still active? I don't know how you put that.
Taking new customers? Is that what you mean?
Don't do
Taking
that.
new customers.
I don't think people are dying to get in there yet. Sorry. But no, it's essentially it's full. There may be one or a small number of sites that are available for purchase, I guess. But it's a older historical cemetery that we, I guess, more or less inherited 25, 30 years ago. So we've been maintaining it ever since. But very nice cemetery. There's
Yeah.
very old graves in there. There's a lot of interesting history, for sure.
It is a pretty spot. So, thank you.
Are we allowed to vote no based on Mr. Bergstresser's dad jokes?
Hopefully
You are
not.
free to do whatever you would like.
Thank you.
Call the roll.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution to make supplemental appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Kettering, State of Ohio, during the fiscal year ending December 31, 2025. Estimated cost $26,600. This is requested by the Finance Department, and I do move for approval.
Second?
Okay, Mr. Greason, why don't you take this one?
Yes, Your Honor. This is the budgetary follow-up of the purchase you just approved of equipment of $26,600. As Mr. Bergstresser highlighted, we have a cemetery fund. It has a fund balance. $24,050 will come from capital outlay, $25,50 from operating expenses, and that will allocate the funds to purchase the equipment for the cemetery. Be glad to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Okay, hearing none, call the roll.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes. Okay, we do have a few ordinances in first reading, and we'll start with
Ms. Duval.
Ms. Duval.
I have an ordinance to enact section 606.27 of the codified ordinances regarding failure to comply. This is requested by the police department, and this is the first reading.
Okay. Mr. Hamler, you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Thank you, Your Honor. This ordinance will enact Section 60627 of the codified ordinances regarding failure to comply. According to a recent court decision, under Ohio Revised Code Section 2921.331A as currently written, a charge of failure to comply with the lawful order of a police officer should only be used for a person who was operating a motor vehicle at the time of the violation. However, failure to comply with a law enforcement officer's lawful order can occur in a wide range of situations not involving the operation of a motor vehicle. Such behavior undermines and is a threat to both public safety and officer safety and must be deterred. Enactment of Section 606.27 will address this issue and help protect both public safety and officer safety. I would be happy to address your questions.
Anyone have any questions? Okay, first reading. Next one.
Yeah, Mr. Sutton.
Your Honor, I have an ordinance also in first reading tonight, and it reads to repeal Chapter 705 of Part 7 of the codified ordinances of the City of Kettering. This is requested by the Police Department. And it's in its first reading.
Okay, Mr. Hamler.
Thank you, Your Honor. Chapter 705 was enacted to prevent the excessive cost and misuse of emergency services of the City of Kettering caused by excessive false alarms. The alarm systems that are subject to Chapter 705 are those that seek to alert the police to unauthorized entries into homes and businesses. Chapter 705 requires alarm users to obtain a permit from the Kettering Police Department and authorizes assessment of fees for repeated false alarms. New trends and updates to security technology, however, have rendered older alarm systems and technologies less popular. Chapter 705 addresses excessive false alarm issues typically seen in those older alarm systems, Newer security options and systems do not present the same issues, which renders Chapter 705 unnecessary, hence the ordinance to repeal Chapter 705. I'd be happy to address any questions.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions?
Do we have any idea how many false alarms like that we respond to in a year? Or?
I don't have the number for you, Mr. Sullivan, but they have decreased significantly over the past 10 years with the new systems.
Okay, well, that's the first reading.
So the last first reading is an emergency ordinance to appropriate project parcels 7-WD and 7-T of the Marshall Road Improvement Project, which is city project number 02-120I and ODOT MOT-Marshall Road Improvements. It's PID number 116891, and to declare an emergency. The estimated cost and amount available is $524. It is requested by the engineering department, and I move for the approval. It's an emergency.
Emergency. Second.
Okay. Mr. Bergstresser.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is for a project on Marshall Road between Wilmington Pike and East David Road that's scheduled for construction in 2026. The acquisition of permanent right-of-way is required to construct an ADA-compliant curb ramp at the northeast corner of Marshall Road and Wheatland Avenue. We've been working with this property owner to acquire the property, but recent efforts have been unsuccessful, and therefore appropriation is necessary to keep the project on schedule. We'll note that we have successfully obtained the needed right-of-way from other property owners within the project limits, where we've had to do a similar acquisition process. So it's a very small piece of right-of-way. There's a 3/1000th of an acre permanent right-of-way and 5/1000 acres of temporary. So it's very small, but just needed to replace the curb ramp that exists on the corner there. We did, or you did back on July 12th, pass a resolution declaring the necessity and intention to acquire these property interests in this parcel. We are requesting an emergency ordinance this evening in order to meet project deadlines and for the use of grant funds for the construction of the project, which again will be bid here in the spring of 2026. Be happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Okay, as an emergency, we'll call the roll.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Sudden?
Yes.
Mayor Lehner?
Yes. Okay, do we have any certifications and petitions this evening?
Your Honor, we do not have any certifications or petitions this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now turn to our manager's report, the community update. Mr. Greason.
Yes, Your Honor. I want to highlight once again one of our awards. We have a Good Neighbor Award that celebrates individuals who go above and beyond doing good deeds and being kind and neighborly. And this is an opportunity for individuals in our community to nominate their good neighbor. They must be Kettering residents, either adult or youth, age 18 or younger if they're youth. And there is an opportunity for nominees to receive a gift certificate and, of course, the appreciation of all of us. Nominations are due by August 31st, and there is a QR code on the screen people can use. As is our custom, we will be closed, or at least our administrative offices will be closed on Monday, September 1st in observation of the Labor Day holiday. Due to that holiday, Rumpke service will be delayed by 1 day the week of September 1st. So Monday to Tuesday, Tuesday to Wednesday, Wednesday, Thursday, etc. If anybody has any questions, they can contact Rumpke at this number on the screen, but we'd encourage them to put their trash and recycling at the curb the night before their revised collection day. It's always an exciting weekend, a Labor Day weekend in Kettering. Alterfest is coming, as well as our beloved Holiday at Home 2025. And Holiday at Home's theme this year is Going Country. There will be events Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, including a gala, 5K, parade, an arts and crafts show, car show, concessions, entertainment, and quite a bit more. We encourage people to look at the activities at holidayathome.org, and I want to particularly note the Labor Day road closures. Roads will be closed from 2 a.m. the night before through the afternoon after the parade, and the detours are reflected on the screen, but essentially we're trying to get people around the parade limits there on Far Hills. Be glad to answer any questions you may have about that. A very important upcoming event, and I'm going to review this in a little more detail. The City of Kettering is working on its comprehensive plan, which charts our land use for the decades to come, and we want to hear from Kettering residents. We want people to join us on a workshop. It's a future focus. It's an interactive community workshop where people will have an opportunity to review some of the early recommendations that are coming out of the comprehensive planning process and that have been developed from the public input and technical work that's been done to date. We want to explore how key areas of the city can change with reinvestment and thoughtful planning. And of course, we want individuals' feedback on direction, priorities, and values that should guide our land use decisions in the years ahead. This is an open house style. People can come anywhere between 6 and 8 and participate in the interactive stations, share their ideas, and talk with our consultants, our staff, and members of the planning team. So if you live, work, or own a business in Kettering, Your voice matters in this planning process, and we want you to attend. It will be at the Latham Senior Center. You can register by using the QR code that's on the screen, or just come along. Another exciting event that's coming up, EcoFest at Lincoln Park Commons and Fraze Pavilion, Saturday, September 20th, 11 to 3. A lot of neat activities where there's at this free community festival. Artwork, waste-free sorting, how to be green for Halloween, test drive electric cars, there'll be food trucks, and bring your refillable bottle for water. Our sustainability office, I think it was Mr. Suddeth who said our sustainability office hard at work this year. Another exciting event that fosters sustainability is Shred Day. It's amazing how many people take advantage of this. This is a Shred Day and recycling events for paper, styrofoam, and now electronics. The accepted electronics are outlined on the screen. If anybody has any questions, they can call our sustainability manager, Don Kirchner, at the number on the screen. We also want to thank our partners, Solvita, Day Air, and Montgomery County. It's a well-attended, important event for many people who are trying to clean out some of the stuff they've saved. Be glad to answer any of your questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Thank you. It's brief. Let's see. At this point, if there's anyone in the audience who would like to address council on any issue other than one dealing with legislation, they may come down now. Please, once again, keep in mind you need to start with your name and address. Each speaker will have a 5-minute limit. If there's anyone who would like to speak before City Council, come on down now. Stand up first. See if there's a line. Doesn't look like it. Okay. We'll now turn to City Council reports, and I'll start with Mrs. Fisher.
Well, I'm going to just look forward, and it's hard to believe that it is Labor Day weekend already. And so I just look forward to seeing our residents out and about and shopping local with some small vendors that'll be out there and being at the parade. That's all I have for today.
I just want to say we've started another wonderful school year. We got started last week, 2 weeks, it's week 3 now, I think. I can't keep track already. But since our last council meeting, we have began the school year, and we're off to a good start. I've got a personal goal. I want to go to one game or match of each type of high school athletic event this year at home. And that is made much easier by, there's a new Fairmont Athletic website and mobile app, and I highly recommend it to everyone in this room because it's really easy to know when the high school football team plays on Friday nights. Not as easy to know when the girls JV tennis team is going to be at home. So the app, you can track every team. I highly recommend it. I got alert. You can set alerts or turn them off. I got an alert that our JV boys soccer team just beat Wayne 6-1 just while I was sitting up here. So, you know, if any sport you want to follow, you can do that with the app. So I highly recommend it to everyone. And then I'd also just say I hope to see you all holiday at home this weekend. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you.
My quick comment on Holiday at Home is there's a lot of festivals and events in Ohio, and I truly think Holiday at Home is unique. Okay? Memory serves correct, it's been going on since 1959. That is a long time. Holiday at Home will be over on Monday, September 1st. The following day, September 2nd, is a monumental day in, quite frankly, the history of the world, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. Tuesday will be the 80th anniversary of the cessation of activities of World War II. 80 years. And as I've mentioned before, many of those veterans and the ladies who worked in the factories came home from the war, settled in places like Kettering, Ohio, built up Kettering, Ohio, begat the baby boomer generation, which I'm a member of, and those are the folks that really built Kettering and got it started to what it is today. It is the greatest generation of people, and it will never be surpassed.
I can't really follow that. I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to echo just the things we saw earlier from the Sustainability Office and the things that Don's doing in that office, that it's just been 8 months since that position was created, and just the momentum that has happened, and just the ability to just track all the things that sustainability touches inside this organization is really amazing, and just continued thankfulness for her and what she's doing, and even the stuff with the employee luncheons in the fall and the green initiatives and just the things she's doing just to look on how, as an organization, the city of Kettering impacts our environment and our community. It's just amazing how much has been done in just 8 short months. So just send our thanks to her and the volunteer team around that. Also, as the council member representative to the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee, I can't emphasize enough, again, what Matt said earlier about the need for public comment on September 11th. The group, the professionals, the staff members, and the citizen committee has just put hours, well now months of work into this plan, and it only works if we hear from as many citizens as possible. And the 11th is that opportunity to come in and see the work that's been done already, and then just sort of weigh in on those things that will help literally shape what the community that we have will look like in the next decade or two. So I can't emphasize enough how much important that public comment piece is, and understanding what we want our communities, our shopping centers, those businesses to look like in the decades to come. So if you have an opinion about the way the city will look or function in the years to come, September 11th is the night to be there and make your voice heard. So look that up. You saw it in the slides earlier, but just wanted to echo everything that Matt said about that earlier. So that's all I've got tonight. We'll see you this weekend at Holiday at Home.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Sutter. I, too, was going to promote the comprehensive plan event, so thank you for doing a good job of that. This is an exciting weekend. Everyone has a great time over a Holiday at Home. This year, as Mr. Scott mentioned, is the 80th anniversary of the cessation of World War II, and I can't think of a better way to celebrate that than attending the flag ceremony at the Barns on Friday at 12 o'clock in front of the Barnes Old School Building, soon to be the Cohatch location. It will be attended by the Police Department Honor Guard, along with Kettering Memorial VFW, Post 9927. And there will be a combined honor guard consisting of American Legion Post 598 and 165, and Hammond VFW Post 3438. So, as you can see, it's really an excellent opportunity to come down and pay honor to our flag and to the veterans who have so ably defended it. And with that, that is all I have tonight. We will have our next council meeting on, can never find it, the 9th, September 9th. Okay, thank you and good evening.